Welcome. It's the mayor. Welcome to Showface News. But call me what you want. Just don't call me woke. You already know what's the town versus everybody. At all times, you rocking with the town favorite. Showface News. It's Big Gotham. The real New York mayor. F. Eric Adams. And all the way from Flushing, Queens. We got the one and only Sue Young. Stop playing. And that's word to Sue Young. Make sure y'all hitting that like and sharing the video game. And we back again with another one. Check it out. Listen. So, yesterday, if you was in here, if you was paying attention to what's going on, man, they was saying how Biggie Smalls is the one who allegedly put that bag on Tupac's head. They was saying how Tupac was actually in Las Vegas at the same time as Tupac was, how Biggie and Tupac was both in Vegas at the same time, and Biggie was the one who had money put up for the Southside Crips to violate Pac. Now, to be very specific, you dig? Pac did a performance, and after that performance, when he performed that was when, shots were supposedly fired, right? We heard about all this yesterday, all right? Now, I don't know how factual that is, champs. It's honestly my first time and a lot of people's first time hearing about Biggie's involvement in Pac getting smoked. Now, let's just say this is indeed 100% facts, and Biggie Smalls was indeed the person to put that money up on Pac. Would Pac be wrong if he is the person who put that money on Pac? Is Biggie wrong? Mind you, this is coming after Hit 'Em Up was done. This is why I effed your B, you fat mother lover. Okay? This is coming after all that. You know what I'm saying? After all that, Rockstar Entertainment LLC says, how convenient blaming him since he's dead. I said the same thing. Me personally, in my personal belief in personal studies, believes that this was still a retaliation type deal. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, I get it that it could be believable that Biggie is responsible and Biggie went out there and had things done, but at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, how in the world did Biggie go out there and do all that, knowing that there was a huge issue with the East and West at the time? Everybody beefing with Pac at the time too. Pac beefing with everybody from Jay-Z to Nas to Naughty, to Mobb Deep. He beefing with everybody, bro. He beefing with everybody out East. He ain't got no allies out East except for like LL Cool J or something. I have no idea. And even then, LL and them dissed Tupac as well. If you remember the song I Shot You, which had Keith Murray, Fat Joe, amongst other people on it, LL Cool J. That's another record that was dissing the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? This is around like 95-ish, by the way. But yeah, you have a bunch of people that you didn't already disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Now, to say that Biggie's the one who went out to Las Vegas, did this, that, and the third, I never heard that until recent. All right? They claim that Biggie Smalls is responsible for whatever hit was put out there on Pac. I don't even know how much I believe that. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know how much I actually believe that. You dig? What I am gonna do though is I am gonna drop a link in the chat for people to join up if they want to speak their piece. Mind you, if you do join up on this stream, you cannot curse. There's no cursing, no disrespecting the rainbow people, none of that. All right. If you do join the stream, you cannot curse. The moment you say something out of pocket, you gotta go. Respect the etiquette. Theodore Nunn says, I wouldn't risk my freedom for no pee and take a chance to go to jail and someone going to get it anyway. So why is it hard to believe? I'm not saying it's hard to believe Biggie did it. I'm just saying that nobody was saying it before today. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said. White Falcon says, did Biggie have the bread for this hit? Of course he did. He's a first of all, the man a platinum artist. Of course, Biggie's getting paid, bro. Do you know how big? Do you know how big Biggie was? And his just him coming out, bro. Biggie's a one of a kind artist. You think Biggie ain't have the money? That's kind of a wild question to ask, bro. We talking about Biggie Smalls like Biggie wasn't one of the biggest things in hip hop, bro. Biggie and Tupac, huge artists, bro. They were literally the frontmen for the East and West Coast beef. You dig what I'm saying? So to say if he had enough bread for it, it's Biggie Smalls, bro. What do you mean if he had enough bread for it? You know what I'm saying? Now everybody want to blame Puff. Listen, everybody wants to blame Puff. Said Puff was shot. There's no proof though. It sounds good to say Puff is responsible, but how can you prove that Puff did anything? You dig? Nobody, not even the police, anybody else mentioned Puff doing anything. People are mentioning Puff. People are saying Puff is doing it. People like Keefe D, who blatantly have lied multiple times on Puff's name, was saying that Puff is responsible. People like Gene Dale, who also have blatantly lied on Puff's name, is also, people who are saying Puff is responsible. You don't have legit people saying that Puff is responsible. You have a lot of people that have already put Puff's name in a bad light just for clout, saying that Puff did it to fit the narrative. As great as it sounds to say Puff did all these insane things, I mean, we heard people say that Puff is the reason that Jamie Foxx got cloned when Jamie Foxx was never cloned to begin with, but they have a bunch of people saying that Jamie Foxx is cloned because something is wrong with people, and the man just filmed a movie called They Cloned Tyrone. They're saying Puff is responsible for Jamie Foxx being cloned and all this weird stuff. Like, sometimes the conspiracy theories just get too out of hand, and it's like, bro, it's not. Y'all think this is a game or something? White Falcon says Biggie was crippled and didn't last long. Pac wasn't big till he passed. Allegedly Puffy. No, Pac was always big. The thing about Tupac passing away is that people on the East Coast didn't really celebrate Tupac until he passed, because nobody in the East Coast was really bumping Tupac like that. Main reason being is because he already had disaligned himself with New York already. Mind you, that era of New York really wasn't on nothing that Tupac was on, to be fair. You dig? I mean, it took long enough for the South to get any love in New York. You dig? Amongst other regions. New York wasn't the place he was going to go to hear people like Bone Thugs and Harmony and Snoop Dogg and all that. That just wasn't a thing that New York was on at that time. You feel me? So it took a minute for New York to actually show love to other regions for the longest of times. There was a time when New York was strictly on New York rap in its golden age. I'm just telling you facts. Excedra says, haven't heard anybody sing they saw him in Vegas. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you was watching the live I did yesterday, salute to Seti Nash. Seti Nash was reading documents where they were saying that Biggie Smalls was the one who actually put that hit on Tupac. You dig? He was saying that Biggie put the hit on Pac. He was saying that Biggie was with the Southside Crips, the Southside Compton Crips to be exact, and that he put money for them to go after Tupac. You know what I'm saying? That's what I heard yesterday. I've never in my life heard that until I heard Seti Nash read that from wherever he got it from. I don't know if that's true. Doesn't sound true to me personally, but a lot of people believe that Diddy has involvement and Diddy set up Pac, which is also something that still has yet to be proven. You know what I'm saying? Kage Morris says the feds were watching Biggie the whole time he was in LA. True. And White Falcon says Tupac music isn't on the radio. Puffy did it. That's not true either. Tupac's music is always on the radio. Every day. Tupac's music is on the radio. Puffy's music is on the radio, and Biggie's music is still on the radio. When in the world, where did you get the idea that Tupac's music wasn't on the radio? If you listen to a classic radio station or whatnot, They constantly play Tupac, bro. And I don't even listen to the radio. But I'm telling you, Tupac's music gets played all the time. Literally. You know, Tupac is a huge name in hip hop, as is Biggie, a very huge name in hip hop. You know, very huge names. But where did you get the idea that nobody was playing Tupac? Do I think Suge set up Pac? No. It wouldn't make sense. Suge setting up Pac would destroy the label of Death Row. So for him to set up Pac in the prime of his career also makes zero sense. I don't see what is the benefactors of Suge setting up Pac. I don't believe none of that because it doesn't make sense. If I believe anything, my belief is this. My belief is that the Southside Compton Crips got revenge and they went and retaliated on Pac because Pac jumped into a fight with Death Row and Death Row's ops that he shouldn't have been in. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Tupac jump into a fight with Pirus that was fighting the ops, which is the Southside Compton Crips. And the end result is him getting boomed on because he jumped in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Angela Reddy said Tupac's played in the radio all the time. They play Tupac everywhere. Everywhere around the world, they play Tupac. Calvin says, Showface, should Diddy be worried because he doesn't know what the DA has, but it's been 27 years. If there's evidence, they would have been indicted. Diddy, yes. If there was evidence, Diddy would have been in trouble. I don't think Diddy's honestly worried about any of this because Diddy isn't one of the people that put the so-called hit out on Tupac. Tupac is always on the radio. He had the biggest impact from any dead artist. Yeah, arguably so. I mean, you also got to realize there's a lot of posthumous, rap acts who have made a lot of numbers, like XXX and Tentacion and Pop Smoke are rappers who passed away who have had huge success, after their passing as well, like really huge success. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get it twisted. Pac is one of the biggest artists who passed away, but at the same time, there's other hip hop acts that are pretty huge as well. I ain't gonna lie to you. Dan says Tupac Mike Tyson fight tickets says 3:30 p.m. Interesting. Not the rain part. What do you mean? I don't know. Saint Leonetti says Biggie never had $1 million. Stop the nonsense, champ. How do you know that? You said Biggie never had $1 million. Listen, the hit wasn't $1 million hit though. Here's the thing. You're telling me that Biggie never had $1 million. I never told you that he had $1 million. Where did you get that from? How you telling me? How you gonna tell me that I'm talking nonsense about it? I never chat. When did I say that Biggie had $1 million? Where'd you get that from, champ? Also, the hit wasn't $1 million hit, by the way. It was actually a couple bands, and I'm sure Biggie had a couple bands. You dig? As far as Biggie having $1 million, I don't know what Biggie had. He clearly had money for the time that he was living in, correct? And for you to randomly say Biggie never had $1 million without me saying that he actually had some sounds insane, don't you think, champ? Because I never said that. Y'all be trying to start arguments for no reason. Like, champ, hey, champ, Biggie never had $1 million. Stop the nonsense. I say, what that got to do with me? I never said that he did. You said that, champ, not me. Rockstar Entertainment says, right, but it's 27 years later. Triple X will not be played 27 years from now. I wouldn't say that. See, a lot of y'all don't realize what y'all be saying. Y'all gotta understand, man. You saying that XXX won't be played 27 years from now is kind of crazy. Because that man also had a huge impact too. Tupac ain't the only hip-hop act that passed away that people love. It's other people too. Kagi Maru says, what were your thoughts on the East versus West beef, and what was your reaction when Hit 'Em Up dropped? First of all, when Hit 'Em Up dropped, I was 1 year old. I was either 1 or 2 years old. That's number one. I'm not old. I don't know how old you think I am, champ. Salute to you, though. I mean, I'm not mad at you from thinking I'm that old, but I'm not. The East Coast West Coast beef was hyped up by the media. However, the East Coast West Coast beef is much before Pac and Biggie even came about, because the East Coast West Coast beef, if you want to be exact on East Coast West Coast beef, is really when New York starts making fun of other regions who try to rap because New York only believed New York should be rapping. For example, when you had Tim Dog. Y'all remember Tim? Some of y'all might remember Tim Dog. He used to always diss Eazy-E and NWA. And he would diss them about their Jerry curls and etc. This is early 90s, by the way. Tim Dog is from the Bronx. You have to know about, you know, how New York felt about like West Coast rap and all that early on to know about the real East Coast West Coast beef. The real East Coast West Coast beef was New York not liking anything the West Coast was putting out, so it took a minute for them to even start listening to the West Coast hip hop music or any other regions of hip hop, because it took the South long enough to even get up on, you know, on the charts and whatnot, because the East Coast wasn't rocking with them. You know, it took people like Funk Flex and other DJs at the Tunnel nightclub in New York for New York to even start listening to people like Cash Money and No Limited, etc. You know what I'm saying? So people like that who actually paved the way for the South to even get any type of spins in New York. So you want to talk about the real East Coast West Coast beef? It's not the beef that the media was pushing. It's the beef that was already around before Pac and Biggie had a real name. You know what I'm saying? In the early 90s. Ain't Cop the Field says, you tripping if you think Biggie ain't have $1 million. 2 bands. Hey, champ, I'm not watching Biggie's pockets. I don't know how much money Biggie got or Biggie had during that time. The hit was supposed to be $1 million. Either way, how could you think that Biggie don't have $1 million is crazy enough to me. I would assume Biggie had over $1 million. I never said he had $1 million or didn't. I'm also not saying that Biggie did it at all. I'm telling you that they're saying that Biggie Smalls was the one who did the hit, and then how Biggie was also in Vegas at the same time as Tupac. Theodore Nunn says they say he paid half and was supposed to give the other. So you mean to tell me that he was... You can't be doing it. He did a layaway hit? Listen, I ain't never in my life heard somebody putting a hit on somebody and putting the rest of the money on layaway. So you paid for half the hit and gonna pay the other half later? Like, yeah, champ, I need you to go out here and get rid of something for me real quick, but I'm gonna pay you the other half of the money later on. Like, that ain't how this works, bro. You gotta pay that full amount. Ain't no... You did that. You put the hit on layaway. Like, yeah, we'll play you the other half. Such like, that's crazy. Roxanne on the team says it's other people too, but I said the biggest impact, not saying the only impact. You said the Triple X would be played 27 years from now. I doubted if X would have a Hollywood star 27 years later. He ain't gotta have a Hollywood star. You ain't gotta have a Hollywood star to be popping. You know, people pay for Hollywood stars. You know that, right? Hollywood stars are something that's paid for. You don't just get a Hollywood star just because. You get a Hollywood star because you paid to get one. Nobody got a Hollywood star for free. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You dig? Just so you know, there's a fee on them Hollywood stars. They ain't just give them out just to give them out. Biggie was supposed to leave Bad Boy since when? Who told you that? Where in the world did y'all get this information from? That nigga wasn't leaving Bad Boy. Y'all crazy, man. NWA was always on the East Coast, vice versa. I mean, there really wasn't no hate for the East because they was kind of inspired by us in the first place. They wouldn't be rapping if it wasn't for us. Calvin says, Showface, I really think Pac didn't understand gang culture and how deep it really is, especially in LA. You talking about me? Yeah, Pac did not understand gang culture at all because, again, he wasn't from out west, and the politics out west and gang culture was different. Now, when Tupac left New York was just starting to really get into some Bloods and Crips type of type of culture, right? New York was adapting and creating its own Blood and Crip culture when Pac was leaving New York, because Bloods and Crips had just started coming to New York. Now, New York has always had gangs, but New York never had like a group of nations of gangs. New York just had regular street gangs that they would have around. Like, you know, the 5% Nation, for example, had two sectors. They had the 5% Nation that would be teaching people about, you know, knowledge of self and etc. Then you had the other 5%ers that was really on some street nonsense that was gonna rob you and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Ian Copperfield says the old school rappers were cool. They used to chill with each other. The beef started over a check. It was between Suge and Puff. White Falcon says Gene said he saw the check from Zip, but don't know what it was for. What Zip? Who? What Zip we talking about? To be specific. Some of y'all is misspelling. I can't read what y'all writing. White Falcon says Diddy said something about Biggie being bold, wanting to leave Bad Boy, allegedly. Who are you hearing that from? Who are you hearing that from? Yo, listen. Don't be saying stuff you heard somebody else who's a liar regurgitate, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's paying for a Triple X Hollywood star. I'm just saying, you don't know that. You don't know that. But the man is also deceased, so I don't know if he's going to be getting a Hollywood star when he's gone. Ant says Cypress Hill was always in New York. Most people thought they were from NY. That's because I think Cypress Hill was with wasn't Cypress Hill with Def Jam, if I'm not mistaken? Cypress Hill was real cool with a lot of East Coast artists, though. That's the thing, that the difference between Cypress Hill and a lot of the other West Coast artists was that Cypress Hill was very cool with a lot of East Coast rappers. You dig what I'm saying? Everybody out West wasn't beefing with New York. But I believe Cypress Hill was cool with a lot of East Coast rappers, though. They never really had any smoke with anybody. You dig? And it says he was supposed to leave Bad Boy and start his own label with him, Junior Mafia, Cameron, Charlie Baltimore, and Tracy Lee. Really? Who said that, though? I'm asking who told y'all that? Where y'all get that information from? Yeah, hit the like button and shit. Make sure y'all getting them likes up, gang. Respectfully, let's get these likes up and share the video. And ain't nothing wrong with Biggie starting his own record company. But who said that he was actually leaving the Bad Boy label altogether, though, is what I'm asking. Who was saying that Biggie was trying to leave? And by the way, like I said, you got to be careful listening to people like Gene Deal, because people who have a huge history of lying are going to tell you more and more nonsense to feed you nonsense. Like, they get in a rush out of feeding you BS, right? And people like Gene Deal and other people who lie on a regular basis, even Keefe D is a liar. Like, again, Keefe D did a whole video where he lied and said that he seen Tupac and Diddy at a party holding hands like they was boyfriends. Like, that's also a lie, because Diddy and Pac, like, what are we talking about? Diddy and Pac was not close, bro. Feel what I'm saying? So you got to be careful who you listen to, because these people be clout chasing, heavy duty clout chasing, bro. Super major clout chasing to a high level. You got to be careful. You got to be very careful who you listen to, especially people like Gene Deal. Constantly lying, been lying on Diddy for years, and now is a perfect opportunity for them to tell more lies to feed the people who already don't like Diddy to begin with, because majority of people don't like Diddy already, you know, based upon other narratives that was placed on his name. You know what I'm saying? I know Charlie Baltimore been talking about this. I haven't really heard much from Charlie Baltimore as of late. But, you know, maybe it's true. Gene just want money at this point, bro. Got nothing going on. That's a fact. You're right. You're right. You're 100% right. Gene Deal is definitely looking for that bag. Uncle Tom TV says they turned Wolf killing Suge's man in Atlanta at that party into it being a whole West versus East Coast war. Now, again, you know the whole East Coast, West Coast beef by the media. It was media driven. The East Coast, West Coast beef was a big media driven thing. Because even when you had New Yorkers that did not like West Coast rap, they didn't label it East Coast, West Coast beef at all. They just labeled it like niggas in New York just did not like people outside of New York making hip hop records. You feel what I'm saying? So you didn't think Keefe was in the white Cadillac? I don't know what he was in. I know Keefe D admitted to being a part of the hit. I know Keefe D said he passed the weapon to his nephew, who is Orlando Anderson. I know that. Rivera said Biggie was leaving Bad Boy. A lot of people saying that somebody said that Biggie was leaving Bad Boy. It's still not proven that Biggie was leaving Bad Boy. And if Biggie was indeed leaving Bad Boy, right? Let's just say he was. How do they know this to be a fact? And why would Diddy be leaving Bad Boy at the prime of his career when everything is going so smooth? You know what I'm saying? And it says you got to check out Mark Curry from Bad Boy interviews. He talking that ish. I heard about him, but also Mark Curry don't like Diddy. Listen, be very careful when you listen to people who go very much against Diddy, because people be going against Diddy for weird reasons. Charlie Baltimore threw Biggie ring out the window when she saw something not appetizing from Biggie. Wait a minute. You trying to say Biggie proposed to Charlie Baltimore? Something Biggie's ring. Biggie's ring. Keefe D being led by Greg Kading. Reggie's an ex-cop and has all the ins and outs. HR owns Death Row. Who's right? Reggie Wright Jr. also be lying too. Reggie Wright, let me see something. Reggie Wright Jr. be lying too, bro. Be careful with Reggie Wright Jr. These are clout chasers, bro. These are clout chasers. Be very careful. Rivera and Biggie was best friends. Hey, look. Careful with clout chasers, man. Reggie Wright Jr. had also lies as well. People be lying, man. These YouTube platforms, people be lying to lie, bro. They say anything. Now, the things that was fact was that Kurupt definitely liked the kids way too much. You know what I'm saying? The rapper Kurupt from Dog Pound was actually a creeper, man. He was a creeper, and he allegedly liked underage girls, allegedly. Let's say allegedly. And it's really not alleged, but Kurupt from Dog Pound was, yeah, he did some things to some underage girls. And these are facts. Once in 1996, and I believe another time in 1997 and 1998. And Reggie Wright Jr. and them had to save Kurupt on 2 occasions, had to pay off parents and etc. based on very disgusting and heinous acts that Kurupt actually did. I could tell you that. Very irrelevant to what we're talking about, but I could tell you that. Mase said he introduced Cam to Biggie and not Puffy on purpose because Cam was a good dude and he didn't want Puffy to take advantage of him. First of all, how did Puffy take advantage of Mase? Is the question. Mase started dissing Puffy because he still owes money because his last LP failed, and all the money that Diddy put into Mase's last album that failed, he didn't get the money back. He didn't get a return of investment on the money that he spent trying to do the rollout for Mase's last album in 2004. Because of that, somehow, for some reason, Diddy is the enemy all of a sudden, right? To be respectful, what Puffy did bad to Mase, he tried to help Mase. That doesn't make any sense. Pretty soon you'll see goddamn Mase on a bad boy tour. Pretty soon. I wouldn't take Mase that serious. You dig? To be honest, I wouldn't take Mase that serious, but I don't think Mase was like I think Mase been throwing Diddy under the bus for like the last couple years. Wow, how come Mase was on all those other bad boy reunion tours if Puff is so bad and all this, etc.? Like, come on, bro. He didn't say Rockstar. He didn't say them exact words, but he did say he know Biggie would treat him right. He says Puff was going to take advantage. Puff name was not to mention. You add your own words. He didn't even. I don't think Mase mentioned Puff. I know what you're talking about now. I don't think Mase mentioned Puff in that segment of their show. Y'all gotta make sure y'all paying attention to what y'all hearing, man. I don't even think that Mase mentioned Puffy at all in that segment. Michael Childress says Puffy stole money on everybody. That's not new. Is it fact though? Or are people just saying it? This is a risk record label state. Let me explain something to y'all, man. Be very careful who you get information from. Also, make sure you're actually listening to what you're hearing and you're not hearing what you want to hear. Because when you're not actually listening to what you're seeing, then you're going to end up creating your own narrative and create something that's just not true. Mase never once mentioned Puffy's name when he told that to Cameron, bro. His name ain't come up at all. You know what I'm saying? Puffy stole money from everybody. That's not new. Hey, listen. All I'm gonna tell you is this. I watched the show. I don't say just anything. I get what you're saying, but guess what? I also seen the same segment you saw. As a matter of fact, let me get that footage real quick. Since we here, I could download that footage and see if he actually said, if he didn't say Diddy's name, champ. If he didn't say Diddy's name, you know what I'm gonna do, right, champ? Hold on. We're gonna do a fact check real quick live on the Showface News channel. We gotta do some fact checking, gang. Yeah, we're gonna do some fact check. That's what we're gonna do some fact checking. We're gonna make sure we get it. We're gonna get it right. We're gonna get it right, champs. We're gonna make sure this information is valid. Keefe telling, yes, Keefe is telling, nigga. He's lying right now. He been trying to get out of the situation and blame Diddy for everything. It's weird. Diddy is the reason that me and Pac was beefing in the first place. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to play that footage from Cameron and Mace's Cameron and Mace's show. It is what it is. I'm gonna play that. Give me a second. I'm about to download it because we're gonna get to the bottom of this. You're gonna differentiate between the people telling the truth and the lies. That's what we're gonna do. There ain't no way in the world. You know, I'm gonna sit up here and just, you know, allow things to be said if things ain't true. So I do have that footage on me right now. I'm gonna play that footage. If I don't hear Puffy's name, champ, if I don't hear Puffy's name, then guess what, champ? That means you made it up. If I don't hear Puffy's name come up, it means you made it up, champ. I hate to, but we got to fact check. Hit the like, share the video, gang. Respectfully. It's coming. It's on the way. Hold on. I'm gonna take it from the top too. Make sure y'all smash. By the way, if you in here, make sure y'all smash the like button and share the video. We're gonna see if Puffy's name came up once in this segment. Let's go.
A lot of people want to know, and they always ask me this: is that when you had your record deal, why did you take me to Biggie Smalls and not Bad Boy?
That's the man, it's almost gonna bring me to tears to say this. I just, being that I saw you as such a good friend, I wanted to put you with somebody I knew with.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. A lot of people ask me that on Instagram,
yeah, I knew
man.
With Biggie,
don't have me just out here crying and shit, man. I don't want to get emotional in here, man.
Instantly, I knew Biggie would do right by you.
Right,
so
right.
I thought he would do the.
Thank you, man. I don't got time to start crying in here, Murder, man, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Did Puffy's name get mentioned up here, champs? I'm gonna let y'all answer. Did Puff's, did Diddy's name get mentioned? Y'all heard Diddy name? Y'all heard Diddy name? I didn't hear Diddy's name one time. Y'all heard Diddy name? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I mean, realistically speaking, they ain't try to violate Puff at all. Listen, all I'm gonna say is this. Realistically speaking, yeah. We already know Mase don't rock with Puff anyway. We already know that. At least now he don't. He was on plenty of them Bad Boy reunion tours though. I'm gonna say that. When did it all of a sudden become a thing for him to not rock with Diddy when not too long ago? You know what I'm saying? He said you can be technical, but you can't read between the lines. Listen, I get what you're saying. He's saying exactly what it says up there. If you read the caption, Puffy would definitely have them blackballed. That's a fact. He ain't mentioned no names though. I mean, you have to realize who Diddy does have some type of pull to make sure that people's, show don't make it to where it should. Let's put it like that. He has that kind of pull. You dig? He has that kind of pull for sure. We said we all know he was talking about him, but he still didn't mention Puff's name. Never mentioned Puff's name. These are facts. For legal reasons, they did that they played it safe. That was a safe play. That was a very safe play. Not gonna lie. That was a very safe play that Mase did right there. Or Cameron and Mase did. That was a safe play. I'm gonna keep it a G. That was a very safe play. He says sometimes it be NDAs in place. You can't mention some things in the industry. I mean, bigger than NDAs, you got people that got some type of pull that can do some things and pull some strings, right? You got them type of people. But my question for y'all is, with Biggie Smalls, when it comes to Biggie, do y'all believe Biggie was the one to actually put a bag on Pac? Do y'all believe that? I don't personally believe it. I'm not saying it's true and I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm saying I don't personally believe it. I'm saying I'm still a believer that Tupac's death was an automatic result of him getting involved in some type of gang politics that he had no idea about. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Tupac's death was a direct result of gang politics that he had no idea about, that he didn't understand, that he thought it was cool to just jump in and, beat on the ops of his peoples. I mean, you beat on the ops of your peoples, bro. You beating on the ops of your peoples is the same thing as you actually being a part of the gang. You dig what I'm saying? I feel like that was a direct result of that. That's just how I feel about it, because it makes more sense to me versus somebody put a bag on Pac. Like, okay, so how ironic is it that a bag was put on you the same night that you beat on Orlando Anderson. You dig what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're gonna put a bag on him after that? Like, it don't make sense. That's what I'm saying. Like, how in the world would Biggie be responsible for that? It don't make sense to me personally. You dig? He said, I don't believe him, but Haitian jacking him. That was part of it. But they backdoored Pac before that, remember? No, they did not. They did not backdoor Pac before that. When you talk about the Quad Studio situation, you got to remember Jimmy Henchman. Quad Studios, the shooting at the Quad Studios was Jimmy Henchman. That didn't have nothing to do with Diddy and Biggie. That had nothing to do with Diddy and Biggie. That had everything to do with Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman been going at people in New York for the longest. Jimmy Henchman had a long time going back and forth with 50 in them. Jimmy Henchman, the reason that Lodi Mack from G Unit passed away. Jimmy Henchman, the reason the game left G Unit. Jimmy Henchman did that. They ain't have nothing to do with Puffy, bro. Everything to do with Jimmy. Jimmy Henchman and Puffy, two different individuals, bro. Jimmy Henchman was a record label owner and a street nigga at the same time. You dig? That's who Jimmy Henchman was. They didn't have nothing to do with Puff nor Biggie. They didn't have any smoke for Pac. Pac didn't even know what was going on. Pac went out west. Pac did not know what was going on, bro. He confused and he want to beef with everybody because he don't know who to trust. That's Jimmy Henchman, man. I don't think you can stomp a real G without retaliation behind it. I believe that. Kage Monroe says Biggie and Junior didn't even know Pac was going to show up at. Yeah, they didn't even know that. That's Jimmy Henchman. That don't got nothing to do. Y'all got to stop buying into Puffy this, Puffy. That didn't have nothing to do with Puffy. I don't care what Pac didn't even know what was going on, bro. Biggie ain't want to beef with Pac. He wanted to stop the beef. That's why you ain't hear no diss songs. That's not true. There's 2 diss records against Tupac. Who Shot Ya and Long Kiss Goodnight are 2 diss tracks against Tupac. That's not true. I said it yesterday. There was 2 diss tracks on Pac. Whether y'all want to admit it or not, Biggie Smalls dissed Tupac not once but twice. Who Shot Ya and Long Kiss Goodnight are both diss tracks towards Tupac. And these are facts. White Falcon says Jimmy Henchman and Tupac had the message about you need money for war from Stretch. Yeah, so that's Jimmy Henchman. They ain't got nothing to do with Puff. I don't care what Tupac said. Tupac don't know what he's talking about. Tupac didn't understand a lot of the street politics that was going on. You know, just like Tupac shouldn't have got involved in that fight with the Mob Pirus versus the Southside Compton Crips. If you see that your people at Death Row who are clearly Piru are going at their ops, you ain't have no business jumping in. That wasn't your duty to jump in that. And because you jumped in that, you made yourself a part of them. Like, okay, so you Piru too, you might as well be. And then they ended up smoking the biggest asset to the Death Row label, which is Tupac Shakur, right? I mean, you do that. I mean, the next thing they can do to do damage is to destroy the biggest asset to Death Row Records, which would only be Tupac Shakur. Outside of Tupac, you got Snoop Dogg, probably the second biggest. Yeah, the trophy. Like, Tupac is the trophy to Death Row. Your next biggest artist is probably Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this. It's like Pac got involved in the things that he shouldn't have did. And that's literally the end result of that. Do y'all think Tupac would have still ended up getting hit if he didn't put himself in that fight and putting hands on Orlando Anderson? Do y'all believe that? You know what I'm saying? Michael Children says, Long Kiss Goodnight. Biggie was talking about a lot of rappers, not just Pac. But he was also talking about Pac. But he was also talking about Pac too. Snoop left to Master P label. This is also a fact. Why do you think? Why do you think Keefe D is constantly bringing up Puff? Because he needs a scapegoat. He's lying. If you were in Keefe D's situation where you were about to get locked up for the murder of Tupac Shakur, you would. He's dry snitching. He's lying, but he's dry snitching. What Keefe D is trying to do is to point fingers at Puff. He's trying to blame Puff and not take accountability for his actions, which actually makes him a rat, because that's what rats do. What rats do is they lie on people to not take accountability for what they did. Once you don't take accountability for your crime and you try to put it on somebody else, you're a rat. That's what rats do. Rats can't take accountability, so they lie on other people. Or they tell on other people because they don't want to serve the time that they're supposed to serve. Now, what Keefe D is doing is a perfect example of ratting, because you are lying. Not only are you telling, but you're not really telling anything, because you're making up stories. You're making up stories, bro. That's what Keefe D. Keefe D is making up stories about Diddy, and they're not real stories. They're fake. He literally did a video saying, "Oh, I think Diddy's the reason why me and Pac started beefing in the first place." That doesn't make sense. You said why. You already said why. Y'all went out there and did what y'all did to Pac. You already said why. You already said you was an accomplice in the murder of Tupac Shakur. Literally. So now you want to lie, bro? It was Diddy this, Diddy that. And when you was talking about it before, when you was bragging about the murder, why you ain't mentioned Diddy back then? Now you mentioning Diddy? That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put two and two together. This old man is a liar. And y'all keep, and the crazy thing about it is they keep mentioning Puff. Puff don't got nothing to do with this. People are gonna keep talking about Puff, but understand, Puff is not gonna show up. Puff ain't on trial though. Puff hasn't been arrested yet. Ain't nobody looking for Puff. The Las Vegas Police Department ain't looking for Puff. If this goes to the feds, they're not looking for Puff. Puff ain't even being brought up. Keefe D said Pac was breakdancing when he got shot. That's a sad thing to say. What? What? Hold on, I gotta keep up with the comments, man. Hold on. We're gonna go one by one. Kage Maru says they need to stop giving these clowns these platforms. It's just ridiculous at this point. I understand. Yeah, you're 100% right about that. I feel like there's way too many people speaking and saying nonsense versus people who are actually telling the truth. I mean, right now it's a bag over everything at this point. It's literally a bag over everything, for real. On One Kiss, Biggie was talking about Pac and Nas, Ray and Ghostface Killer. Rockstar Entertainment said he don't mind going to jail, but Puff needs to go with him. That's also telling though. Also, you need to understand that Keefe D also said that he has cancer, so he's gonna tell everything. So he also used the excuse that he recently caught cancer to tell all about the Tupac shooting. So he said that as well. White Falcon says, little half dead album cover of Pac. He's Snoop's cuz? What? I don't even understand what that means. Do you think Pac really slept with Faith? Yes, 100%. Faith is a bot, bro. I said it yesterday. I said Faith definitely gave Pac that Gorkenstein chant. Faith is a trifling treesh. Yeah, a trifling. If you're not from a town, you don't even know what it means to be a treesh. And if you're not from a town, but it's definitely what it sounds like. Faith is a treesh, bro. A trifling treesh. She was giving out that Gorkenstein chant. She was giving out that Gorkenstein. That's a fact. Rockstar Entertainment said he could have been scared of Diddy. Nigga ain't scared of no damn Diddy, bro. Stop it. No disrespect. Nigga not scared of Diddy, bro. The nigga's a gang leader. You think a nigga, a Southside Compton Crip nigga scared of Diddy? Like, don't get it twisted. Diddy is like that. But nah, he ain't. How are you talking about Keefe? You talking about Keefe D being scared of Diddy, right? I don't think Keefe D is scared of Diddy for any reason. When he said Pac was breakdancing when he got shot, broke my heart. Bro, you do realize he don't like Pac, right? That's why he got him smoked. The nigga don't like Tupac. That's why he got him smoked. Of course he gonna disrespect Pac. The nigga don't like him. I mean, I know you're not gonna try to get somebody up out of here that you like, right? Like you wouldn't like somebody and then get him up out of here. You would only smoke him if you didn't have respect for him. Faith is a bop. B-O-P, not B-O-T. B-O-P, a bop. Okay, a bop, a B-O-P. Yeah, a B-O-P. She's a B-O-P. A bop. Not a bot, a bop. B-O-P. Okay? She's a treesh. A trifling treesh, you heard? Do you think if Faith does sleep with Pac, nobody dies? Wait, what? Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. Whether Faith gave buns out or not, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Because of Faith's behavior and everything that Faith has revealed, I am 100,000% a believer that Faith definitely let Pac put work in. Respectfully, I'm gonna tell you that straight up and down, gang. If you don't believe that Pac did anything with Faith, go watch that Drink Champs interview with Faith Evans. Rockstar Entertainment says he's snitching. Anything is possible. White Falcon says Puffy had J-Lo in the passenger, bullet spraying. Look it up. You talking about with Sean? You talking about with that Sean Poe incident? That's how J-Lo left him too. I don't know what that got to do with me though, or what we talking about. Oh, my fault. So they thought you said bot. Nah, champ. Bot. B-O-P. That's town language. I'm speaking in town language. This is this is how the town talk. If you're from New York, you know what a bop and a treesh is like one and the same. We got so many in New York. We got so many different slangs that literally mean the same thing. That is crazy. I think New York, the only place that got 1,000,001 slangs that could mean the same thing. Which is wild. You know what I'm saying? White Falcon says, don't even know if that's Biggie's son. Sheesh. That's his son, bro. Nah, that's his son. Pac was hitting all the females he was taking pictures with. Hey man, you think Jada Pinkett Smith would go crazy for Tupac for no reason? You think Pac ain't splashed Jada Pinkett too, nigga? Y'all better get hit, man. Listen, man. Here's the thing about life, right? And I'm gonna explain this. Y'all don't realize how crazy these women can get, bro. There's women that let's just say there's women that I allegedly put work in on, right? That literally have men right now. But if I message them right now, I could get it if I want to. Even though they are in a relationship right now. If I hit them up right now, I could get it if I want to. Even though they got a man that they supposedly love and all that. How much do you love them if you're going to let me intervene? You feel what I'm saying? Pay attention to what's going on. And that's not every single woman, but bro, if women really want to do that, they're going to do that. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but bro, Faith is a perfect example. Faith is a perfect example of women who do that. She's definitely in the same lane as women who do that. Cause listen, bro, if you know, you know. You didn't listen. Enough of us done piped out somebody's shorty before. You dig? There's enough of us done did it. Real. If niggas would experience like myself, we've definitely went out here and put work in on somebody's wife or somebody's girl. We did it. We've done it. Let's just keep it a stack. You can hate it or love it. We done it. If you know, you know. You gotta be one of them. You gotta be one of those guys who really understand how this thing work. You know what I'm saying? Faith let Pop put work in. I'm just gonna keep it a G with y'all. I don't care what nobody gotta say, bro. If you know Faith Evans' personality, and here's the thing, I don't think a lot of people realize Faith Evans' personality. You know what I'm saying? Michael Childress, you funny, bro. Salute to Michael Childress. Nigga said she had a heart of gold. She had a heart of gold, all right, champ. Hey, champ. Hey, Michael. Here's a funny joke for you. Allegedly, when she gave Pac that Galkenstein, that heart of gold turned into a heart of white. How about that, champ? How about that? Faith heart of gold turned to a heart of white after the Galkenstein, though. You dig? That's a heart of white. There was a school in that heart. There was a whole preschool in that heart, champ, allegedly. You heard? Yeah. Whoa. That's a fact? Yo, Joey, that's a fact, or are you joking? Hold on. Choose your friends wisely. Word of the day. Yeah. Faith was babysitting Pac kids, allegedly. And I don't even know Pac to have kids, but she definitely babysat his children, champ. You're right, Angela. You're 1,000% right. The man had Madonna and all that. You dig? But hey, champs, respectfully, we could honestly say if Faith didn't catch wreck, maybe we wouldn't even be talking about this conversation. But at the same time, Pac being Tupac, he wasn't just gonna sit there and let his gang member friends, beat on somebody and not join in. Like, he shouldn't have joined in on it. Whether or not he joined in on it might have not even been the determining factor. Because let's just say Pac didn't help jump Orlando Anderson, right? Let's just say Pac didn't jump Orlando Anderson. There's still a huge possibility that the retaliation behind them jumping Orlando Anderson could have still been Pac passing away. You dig what I'm saying? Suge Knight's gonna testify? No, he not. Suge Knight already testified when dude beat him up in the club already. You remember when Suge got knocked out in the club? Suge was crying in court, telling on bro that knocked him out in the club, man. Somebody knocked Suge out in the club, and Suge was in court pointing fingers at bro, crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, Suge already marked out, bro. Niggas don't even talk about Suge Knight like that. The only time they mention Suge Knight is when they mention Whack 100 being the driver for Suge Knight. Because Whack 100 was a Suge Knight driver that got famous, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? That's the only time people mention Suge Knight. Niggas don't really talk about Suge like that. You know what I'm saying? But listen, champs, we got a lot more content to come. I want y'all to make sure y'all hitting that like, sharing the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this whole Biggie Small situation. But hit the like, share the video. But there's always this one important announcement that you gotta hear, because it's very important. And that announcement is that y'all need to stop playing. So respectfully, I'm begging y'all to stop playing respectfully. You heard? More content to come. Let's get it.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.